Hello, BookTube. This is Alan. I just got home from work. Something interesting happened at work. I'll tell you that in just a little while, but this is an update. Actually, my Friday reads, which I really didn't do. I'm going through the wisdom books. This is translated from Hebrew by Robert Alter. This one's on Job, Proverbs, and Ecclesiastes, so I'm going through the book of Job right now, and it seems like Job wants to put God on trial. And so that's the main gist of this, what's going on. This is a bookmark that I found actually in another book. It's actually a Hallmark card. Somebody had wrote on the inside, thanking them for a lovely lunch that they had and lovely meeting. So I thought this was nice. It goes right here and it'd be a good bookmark. So I'm on chapter 21, and once again, Robert Alter. I marked it this time so I could find out where it was. Once again, I am chapter 19. Go to it's right here. But I know my Redeemer lives, and in the end, he will stand up on the earth, and that they flay my skin. For my flesh, I shall behold God. And Robert Alter makes his comment is down here. It says Amos Hockham boldly relates the strong line to Job's wish to incise his words in stones. Paraphrase it as follows: the scars and bruises in my flesh are the writing God inscribes in my flesh, instead of the inscription I sought to make. If Hakim is right, Job would be representing himself here as something like the condemned man in Kafka's In the Penal Colony, who is meant to come to a illuminating understanding of his crime through the terrible machine that inscribes his transgression to his flesh. Job, however, does not concede that he has sinned, so the idea expressed is that through all his suffering, through the tatterings of his lacerated flesh, he will in the end behold God come face to face with his divine persecutor and finally vindicate himself. So the reason I point this out is because the commentator Robert Alter uses again a fiction and book and a commentator and sorry in his commentary. I've never seen that before. Kafka's in the penal colonies, so that's Job. Last night, after I got through making the videos, I finished Gaijin by James Clavell. It didn't end the way I thought it would with the battle. It was kind of it's kind of slow at the end. There's a lot of course, there's a lot of characters involved. There's 16 characters, and it's it kind of weaves it very good. Weaves it, all the characters very good, intricately, and does a good job in the narration of the story. And come to find out that the 18-year-old French girl is the main character in the story. So that's Guy Jin. I'm gonna have to get rid of this one because I just recently purchased a new copy of Guy Jin, so I'll be giving this away. Robert on his YouTube channel Border Hordes was talking about the Berlin Philharmonic. I has a 30-day free subscription to all their concerts. And I thought that was wonderful. And you can go through the archives through hundreds of their concerts. Herbert von Karajan, Simon Rattle, other conductors. And last night I was listening to Brahms' German Requiem. It's called Brahms' German Requiem because Requiem's usually sung in Latin, but the reason why Brahms had it in German Requiem is because he used the Martin Luther's translation of the Bible, which is translated into German, the Old and New Testament, including the Apocrypha. This is from the Dallas Symphony Orchestra. This is Brahms, and this is the Dallas Symphony Orchestra and Dallas Symphony Chorus. Klaus Peter Flohr, conductor. And this is interesting on the back. There's a little note here. It says, "This recording is for distribution only to the members of the Dallas Symphony Chorus and is intended to be used solely as a study material. Broadcast or sale to the public is strictly prohibited." I bought this a couple of years ago at Half Price Bookstore. But basically, it's Brahms composed the Requiem between 1865 and 1866 after his mother's death, and you have different Requiem types for years, and the addition of fifth movement, soprano solos, a movement that promises God's motherly comfort makes it almost certain that Brahms completed Requiem to mourn the passing of his mother. So you have different references to God, of how we are just mortal flesh, and God is a creature. The text of the flute, the third movement, has, "But the souls of the just are in God's hand, and the torment shall not touch them." So you have the themes of comfort, promise, expectation, and joy return in the fifth movement. So you have different, that God is with us, for us, and with us. So I was listening to this Brahms German Requiem conducted by Hermann von Karajan in the Berlin Philharmonic Company from 1978 recording. And the recording was an hour and 20 minutes long. And as I was listening to that, I was reading The Storm of Steel by Ernst Jünger. Now this is the book that I picked because I needed to read another book for my read a book in the decade that the book was first printed challenge that I'm going through. And I had finished this book, and it's actually a diary of his account during World War I as a soldier. And I've mentioned a couple of these before. Here's one right here. He was talking about the vast fields of shell holes that turned into sea of mud by the heavy rain of the last days. Its depths were particularly dangerous in the low-lying field of the Paddebeck. On my zigzag course, I passed many a lowly and forgotten corpse. Often only a head or a hand projected from the shell hole, whose circle of dirty water reflected them. Thousands slept like that, without one token allowed to mark the unknown's grave. And he talks about the different battles he's in, battles of the British. He finds out that the trenches that the British had were better equipped with food than the German side was. And here's one. Even modern battle has great moments. One hears said very often, very mistakenly, that infantry battle had degenerated to uninteresting butchery. On the contrary, today more than ever is an individual that counts. Everyone knows that who has seen them in their own realm, the princes of the trenches, with a hard-set face, brave to the madness, tough and agile to leap forward and back, with keen, bloodthirsty nerves, whom no dispatch ever mentions. Trench warfare is the bloodiest, wildest, and most brutal of all warfare. There is no retreat, there is no mercy then. Blood sounds in the shrill cry that has wrung like a nightmare from the breast. Now, mind you, I was listening to Brahms' Requiem as I was doing that, and it kind of went along with that. And the last one, see, Ernst Jünger had been shot 14 times and wounded 14 times during World War I. The last time he was shot in the chest. And, let's see what I had this one. Let's see why I marked this one. Oh, it's probably down at the bottom. Oh, yeah, here it is. While I was greeting Borge and College and the new recruits, in the usual tone of ironical pessimism, I felt the look of horror in the eyes of a new recruit, a cemeterianist. He was gazing at me. Looking along the channel of his thoughts, I had a shock when I realized for the first time I calloused the war naming. One got to regard a man as mere matter, and that's probably true of a lot of battles, a lot of men who are new recruits and just coming to the battle fresh, and it's like, oh, just hand them up there to the line. At the very end, it says, after 14 days, I was lying on the feather bed mattress of the hospital train. Once again, the German landscape fitted by me, tinged this time with first dyes of autumn, and once again, as on that time at Heidelberg, I was gripped by the sad and proud feeling of being more closely bound to my country because of the blood shed for her greatness. Why should I conceal that tears smarted in my eyes when I thought of the end of the enterprise in which I had borne my share? I had set out to the war gaily enough, thinking that we were hold a festival of which all the pride of youth was lavished. And I had thought little, once I was in the thick of it, about the idea that I had to stand for. Now I look back. 4 years of development in the midst of a generation predestined to death. Spent in caves, smoke-filled trenches, and shell-illuminated wastes. Years of livened only by the pleasures of a mercenary, and nights of guard after guard in endless perspective. In short, a monotonous calendar full of hardship and privation, divided by the red-lettered days of battle, and almost without any thought of mine that the idea of a fatherland had been instilled from all these affections in a clearer and brighter existence. That was a vital winnings, the game of which so often all been staked. The nation was no longer for me an empty thought veiled in symbols. And how could it have been otherwise when I had seen so many die for its sake, and been schooled myself to stake my life for its credit every minute, day, night, without a thought? And so, strange as it may sound, I learned from this 4-year school in force and all the fantastic extravagance of material warfare that life had no depth of meaning, except when it is pledged for an idea, and that there are ideas in comparison with which the life of an individual, even a people, has no weight. And though the aim of which I fought as an individual, as an atom in the whole body of the army, was not yet to be achieved, though material force cast us apparently to the earth, yet we have learned once and for all to stand for a cause, and if necessary to follow as befitted man. Harder than scarcely another generation ever was in fire and flame. We could go through life as through from the anvil in friendship, love, politics, professions, and all that destiny had stored. It's not every generation that is so favored. And if it be objective that we belong to a time of crude force, our answer is, we stood with our feet in mud and blood, yet our faces were turned to things of exalted worth, and not one of the countless number who fell in our attacks fell for nothing. Each one fulfilled his own resolve. For to every one may be applied this saying from St. John, Verily, verily, I say unto you, except the corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. So that was the ending of Storm and Still by Ernest Junger. I have to give kudos to the translator, Basil Creighton. If you want to get this copy of this, you need to get the Basil Creighton translation, because it says in the back here that other revisions are removed. The original edition's reflections on leadership, patriotism, and the nature of heroism. So, and this is the original 1929 translation. All right. Well, today at work, I work as a security guard. We have a security post right next to the main gate, and the gate, we have to use a little clicker to open and close the gate, and you're only allowed in there if you have a sticker. And it's a plant that make frozen food, burritos, enchiladas, tacos. Across the street, they make the tortillas, and they bring those tortillas fresh and bring it over to across the street in the main plant. Well, I was there today at work, and I was reading Memoirs from Beyond the Grave, 1768 to 1800, by Francois René de Chateaubriand. I started back on this. I had put it aside when Francois René de Chateaubriand started comparing Washington and Napoleon. I put it aside to go to my March Madness read and to my March Mystery Madness. So I'm reading this right now. He has gone through met the American Indians. He's met the and the picture here on the cover, that's actually Niagara Falls. That's where he went to. He went to Niagara Falls. And this is an interesting little thing. It's from El Cid's wife. It said, no day has ever followed night, nor night ever followed dawn, that has not heard the sound of the weeping mingled with the mournful wailings, attendants of death and dark funerals. That kind of comes with that Storm and Still and Brahms Requiem. So it's all three together. I didn't know how I did that. It's amazing. Anyway, today at work we saw a lot of employees leaving early. And not only employees leaving early, but we saw a lot of management people there on a Saturday that were not supposed, that normally are not there. We saw some HR people, human resources, that are normally not there on Saturday, a weekend. And so we asked the employee, well, what's going on? And they said that 9 people there at work they passed this notice around, a letter around, that 9 people had contracted the coronavirus there at the plant, the main plant. And so my coworker and myself, we text individually our branch manager, and she called my coworker and said, oh, you guys are lying. I need names and numbers. You people are lying. This is false news. This is false. This is fake. This is fake news. You're just scared to death because of coronavirus. Well, an ambulance showed up, and they left, and the branch manager still didn't believe us. And then the only time she believed us was when the county, someone from the county code compliance showed up. And all the managers walked around that truck like like a like a flies to the honey. I mean, they were just onto that truck. And after he had left, an hour later, there was a notice on the door, posted on the door of Human Resources, the regulations that the county judge had put out to the county commissioner, to the people in the county of Dallas, saying that you have to have shelter in place. And so I don't know what's going to happen at work. I don't know if they're going to close the plant down to sterilize it, which they need to do. And the incident actually occurred in the kitchen, where they had the tortillas, fresh tortillas, and they mixed the sauce and the meat, the chicken and beef, the beans, and they make the tacos, and they take them and they freeze them, and then they put them on the line, and they have a wrapper, and they put it in wrappers, and the burritos are about big. They call it the bomb. They're actually really good, and the chicken is not. Don't try the chicken. And they're very good. They're very tasty because they have fresh tortillas. But a lot of times, every day you see a lot of smoke coming up from the stack where the kitchen is. Today you didn't see that because they had shut that kitchen down because that person that worked in there got the coronavirus. And so I finally found one of the letters that the company sent out to the employees, showed it to my employer, my coworker, and she sent it to my branch manager. So I don't know what's gonna happen, and it's up in the air. And I'm off tomorrow, Sunday, and I go back to work Monday. So we'll see what's going on. Okay, well, thank you very much. It's been like 22 minutes, and I enjoy the rest of your weekend, BookTube. Bye.